Well, we're talking about two very unique personalities and characters. Can they exist? Well, yeah, because they have, and they have done now for multiple seasons. Um, the challenge, I guess, for any youngster that's watching this video and following the profile of a young player like a Sooryavanshi is how is that sustainable over a long period of time? And Shubman Gill has had the answers to that. Even though he's a young player, he's been a player now of international standing. And, in my head, that's still the premium product. Just like we are now watching the Football World Cup, we are still seeing club footballers like a Messi, for example, coming out and playing for his country very successfully, and there's still a following. Um, so it's difficult to understand how to specifically answer that question, other than to say that there are many ways to skin a cat, so to speak, and there are largely huge opportunities in the game. We're now creating another tournament in the European Premier League that's enabling young players like those names that I mentioned before to join a competition, get global exposure, and then find a way forward in the other formats of the game. Hopefully that's coming back and playing for their own country at the Olympics. But until that time, other franchises and other setups need to be executional and pathways development programs like we have seen with the Sooryavanshi, because otherwise how do people get discovered? Very much support the coaching philosophy of finding one's best inner warrior. Sooryavanshi, as you rightly pointed out to a Shubman Gill, they're very distinctive characters and distinctive personalities with distinctive upbringings, regional differences. That's the beauty of our game, because it's a skill-based game and you arrive at the platform with very different nuances in technical capacity. I, for example, grew up loving watching a Brian Lara, but am I Brian Lara? No, I'm not. Am I West Indian? No. I grew up in a very small village in regional country Australia, in Queensland, where sport was a primary focus. I lived on a 10-acre house block, and I developed a game which arguably at the time was the best in the world, based on my own instincts. And that's a great part about sport. And that's across codes. There'll never be key athletes. Will there ever be a John Alomu, for example? Everyone will be compared to him at certain times, but he's a unique personality. And Messi, as I mentioned before, a Kelly Slater in surfing, that's dominated, the landscape for well over a decade, in fact, 2 decades. It just goes on and on. But these personalities and characters, they live through sport and they're bred through different setups and different environments and ecosystems, which our game sustains in regional areas. There will be somewhere unique to this competition from the depths of Scotland that people will not have even known about the name. There'll be a beautiful river flowing through it, and people will gather around the village, probably creating the beautiful malts that we enjoy every day. But there'll be a different style and flavour and characteristic of a player coming from an area like Scotland, and we'll try and find that. And as a coach, I'll try and make sure that's sustainable.